All right, let's jump right into it. Today, we're talking about a quiet crisis that's unfolding in classrooms everywhere, the problem of the empty desk. We're going to dig into why student absenteeism is on the rise and explore a really practical toolkit for the educators who are dealing with this every single day. So, to really get a handle on what's going on, we first have to understand the sheer scale of this thing. And trust me, it's way more than just a few kids skipping a class here and there. Okay, take a look at this chart. It pretty much says it all. This shows us what's happening with chronic absenteeism. That means students missing at least 10% of the school year. Now, before the pandemic, that first bar shows the rate was already a problem. But afterward, look at that second bar. It just skyrocketed. This isn't a small blip on the radar, it's a massive shift in how students are showing up, or not showing up, to school. So the big question is, why? What's behind this huge change? Well, the answer isn't simple. It's more like a complex cocktail of factors that's really been brewing since 2020. The source material really points to a perfect storm. First, we're seeing this huge surge in student anxiety and mental health challenges, which can make just getting out the door feel impossible. Then you layer on this general economic gloom that makes the future feel really uncertain, and it causes some students to wonder, hey, is school even worth it? It's a crisis of both well-being and hope. You know, this has gotten so big that even governments are stepping in. Over in England, for instance, they're launching these new attendance and behavior hubs to get help to the schools that are struggling the most. So it's definitely being treated like a national issue. But you know what? The most effective solutions often start much, much closer to home. And that right there brings us to the heart of this whole explainer. Because even though this problem feels huge and systemic, individual educators have an incredible amount of power to actually turn the tide, one student at a time, one classroom at a time. So that's the real question, isn't it? With all these big societal things happening, what can a single teacher realistically do? Well, the source material suggests the answer is a whole lot, actually. The solutions are right there in the classroom. Okay, let's get practical. Let's break this down into a simple but really powerful 3-part toolkit. Any teacher can start using this stuff tomorrow. Number 1, build a strong classroom community. Number 2, make the learning actually relevant. And number 3, connect with the student's world beyond the classroom walls. Let's start with part 1, building a real sense of belonging. The logic here is super simple, right? When students feel seen, when they feel valued and safe, they are far more likely to want to show up every day. I mean, just think about how simple but powerful that is. A quick good morning, I'm glad you're here. That tiny gesture tells a student, you matter. Your presence here is important. It can totally change the whole vibe of a student's day before class even starts. And this goes way beyond just a greeting. It's about consciously building a positive culture. Things like acknowledging effort, not just right answers. Kicking off the year with activities that help them build friendships, which then become another reason to come to school. And this is a big one. Creating a space where it's okay to make mistakes. That directly fights the fear of failure that can keep an anxious kid at home. Okay, so once you have that foundation of community, let's move to the second tool in our kit. And this builds right on top of that, making the lessons actually stick by making them relevant. This is a huge one. Let's be real. If a student is sitting in class thinking, why am I learning this? When am I ever going to use this? Then we are giving them a reason to check out. The source is super clear. Connecting schoolwork to their world isn't just a bonus, it's absolutely essential. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. Look at the left side, abstract concepts that can feel so distant. Now look at the right, boom. Suddenly, the Pythagorean theorem isn't just some formula, it's the tool you need to design a sick skateboard ramp. Literary devices aren't dusty old terms, they're how you break down the lyrics of a hit song. It just clicks. It makes learning an active thing you do, not just a passive thing you sit through. All right, for the third and final piece of the toolkit, we have to recognize something important. Truancy is often just a symptom of bigger issues happening outside of school, and teachers can't, and frankly, they shouldn't, be expected to solve it all by themselves. So the crucial point is collaboration, teamwork. A teacher is a vital part of a student support network, for sure, but they're not the only part. Real success happens when you're working with the family, with school counselors, with social workers, with everyone who's in that student's corner. A huge part of that collaboration is moving from just guessing why a student is absent to actually knowing. And we can do that by being a bit of a detective and using simple data to find the story behind the numbers. So take a look at this attendance log for a student we'll call Alex. At first glance, you just see a couple of absences. But look closer. Alex is consistently missing third period, and it's specifically on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's not random, that's a pattern. And that pattern is our clue. It gives us a starting point for a supportive conversation, not an accusation. We can ask, hey, what's going on in third period on those days? Now we know where to begin investigating. And here's the best part, the real payoff of all this. This toolkit for tackling absenteeism, it isn't just a fix for one or two struggling students. When you create a welcoming classroom, make lessons relevant, and build strong support networks, you lift up the entire learning environment for every single student in the room. So, we'll leave you with this final thought to chew on, a question that kind of challenges us to zoom out from the classroom and look at the bigger picture. Are our school's own official policies on attendance and discipline actually helping students get back to class? Or could they be maybe unintentionally pushing them further away? It's a critical question for every educator and school leader to consider.